God in the dreary marine layered San Gabriel Valley. Anyways, you know, I've been kind of dismayed lately at what I see.
Turn right onto South Harbor Boulevard.
So-called Christian ministries, churches, blogs, and you have Christians now advocating for homosexuality. And if they're not advocating for it outright, that it's, righteous or not sin, they're very tolerant of it, that we Christians shouldn't really speak against it because it's quote unquote bullying and all that stuff. And and then every time you mention that sin, these Christians feel the need to mention a bunch of list of other sins. But if you mention those other sins by themselves, the Christians will never mention and say, hey, what about sodomy? They'll never mention it. And what it shows is that Christianity has embraced the spirit of modernity. The fact that Christianity and Christians are changing their views on these subjects like abortion, feminism, sodomy, shows that they truly don't have a strong constitution within them. They truly don't have a strong spirit within them. They're being swayed by the tide of the spirit of the age. The problem is when you go to the Bible and what it teaches on these subjects that liberal Christians hold so near and dear: unlimited immigration, open borders, soft on crime. That's not really conducive with the Bible. Go to Romans 1. Paul talks about the sodomite question. Go to Romans 13. He talks about obeying the law question. Go to his writings to Timothy. He talks about the woman question. Or even Corinthians. And this is why I really believe a lot of people don't like Paul. Because Paul is not a feel-goodsy. People isolate the teachings of Jesus to try to make Jesus' teachings fit a liberal paradigm. And then again, with that, you have to disconnect Jesus from his Israelite roots. Look what the Israelite kings used to do to the Sodomites in the Old Testament. Jesus' teachings don't fit within a liberal paradigm. Now, granted, I agree with you, they're not necessarily teachings that are going to fit within a conservative Republican thing, right? Because Jesus' teachings about money would really be against their views. But socially, Jesus was a conservative. Now, economically, he was a liberal, right? Meaning he taught you not to. But see, liberals aren't even really economically in line with Jesus either. So I take that back. He wasn't economically liberal. But because, see, what liberals is, they have resentment morality. Liberals, and especially liberal Christians, have resentment morality and victim mentality. Victim morality. One of the things you'll see from liberal Christians, they'll talk about, distribution of the wealth. Well, that's basically communist. And what did Jesus say? He said, you'll always have the poor with you. Jesus didn't come to solve the economic problems of the poor, other than to tell them, and with anybody, don't serve mammon. Don't serve mammon. A lot of poor serve mammon. A lot of poor are just bad about they're trying to be rich. They're just bad at doing it. Let's be honest with ourselves. They're not poor because they're these humble people. They're poor because they're getting in debt because they're serving mammon. They have to have all the new nice Nike Air Jordans, the nice cars, and they can't afford it. What did Jesus tell the young rich ruler? He says, not the young rich ruler. He told the guy that wanted his brother to split his inheritance. He says, be careful of covetousness. He didn't look at that guy as a victim that got cheated out of his inheritance. He said, beware of covetousness. What that has to do with me? A lot of people are trying to involve Jesus in these social issues that he wants no part of. What did Paul say? Be content with food and clothing. When you look at liberals today, are they content with food and clothing? All they do is bitch and moan and complain about what they don't have and what the so-called rich have, including Christian liberals. So they're not even in line with Jesus' economic teachings. Yes, Jesus says it's harder for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God than a camel to go through the eye of a needle. Yes, Jesus says don't serve mammon, be content with food and clothing. So they blast the rich. James blasts the rich. The liberal Christians blast the rich. But where they fail and don't line up with Jesus is Jesus didn't come to solve their poverty or their poor problems. He said the poor you always have with you. And he says beware of covetousness. So when you're poor and you're talking about redistribution of wealth and you're talking about, that's covetousness. When you're complaining about what you don't have and what the rich get and the rich tax cuts, beware of covetousness. You're not content with food and clothing. And that's really what it is.